do it. I have no idea if we're gonna post it, but we gotta do it. We gotta record this.
Gotta do it.
Yes.
All right. What was that, Billy?
That wasn't me.
Who was that? Who was that? Oh my goodness.
The sneaky bastard.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Here we go,
Sneakiest.
everybody. You're in for a treat. You're in for a surprise.
Yeah.
I am Joey Parr, editor-in-chief of GeekTyrant.com, and this is Secret Level.
I like that. That's quite an intro.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
It's probably
like that.
one of my favorite intros ever.
Wow.
And joining me today is Bill, Crazy Bill. Get cool, Bill. Breeze it, buzz it, easy does it. Turn up the juice, Bill. Go, man, go. But not like a yo-yo school, Bill. Just play it cool, Bill. Real cool.
Wow. I feel like I need to leave now. That was amazing.
So yeah, what's up, Billy?
No, not much. Just ready for another episode. I've really been excited about this one. I couldn't wait to get to it.
You know who else?
But we have some.
You know who else is excited about this one?
Who's that?
This guy. His name's Droobles.
Droobles.
We love Droobles.
We love Droobles.
Oh,
Is that me?
Droobles. Droobles?
Is that my entrance?
That's your entrance.
That's your entrance, buddy.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing well.
Hi, buddy.
So Droobles is joining us on our adventure today, and this adventure is going to take us into the realm of the NeverEnding Story.
What?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Finally.
So this is one that Joey and I have been talking about since we started the podcast. And it just so happened we were talking to Droobles about possibly doing an episode. And
It
what
might
better
have
episode
come
would
up.
it be? Right.
Yeah.
This is the perfect episode for him.
Is it?
I agree, 100%.
See?
Yeah, no, this movie traumatized me as a child.
I think it
So-
traumatized every young man growing up. Every young child that saw this movie within the first 20 minutes, the horse
Yeah,
dies and
pretty much.
drowns in the swamp of sadness.
Oh, man.
It's in the
but-
name. It's in the title.
Right. So here's the thing, though. I always thought it traumatized me really bad. I never realized it, like, permanently scarred the kid who played Atreyu, but for a completely different reason.
Oh, man. This is going to be some fun discussion today, guys.
Oh my gosh, that kid gave it his all.
When I
Oh, yeah.
when I dove into this movie and started learning things about it, behind the scenes stories, I really wasn't expecting what I got. Like, I was
No.
very surprised, and I love it all.
I know, but I really want to get into this, but we have to go through our opening formalities. Otherwise, we're never going to get to it because this movie has one of the best backstories to being made, the trauma of making it.
Yeah.
But first, let's start off with some niceties. Joe?
Hey, niceties. I love hearing these.
Niceties. We're going to start with Joseph. What cool things have you been into this week?
All right, well, I've got another adventure story for you.
Heck yes, you do.
So, my brothers and I went on another exploration up in the mountains of Utah.
Ooh.
Yes. And Drew is very aware of the adventures that my brothers and I go on. So
I am
he
aware
is-
of those.
he follows our TikTok.
Yeah. I'm one of your followers.
And on this journey, we went into this huge 7-story abandoned silver mining facility. It was gigantic. It was the biggest abandoned building I've ever been in before in my life.
Jeez.
And I'm not going to get into like the crazy, like we walked in and blah, blah, blah. But we walked in and we walked up the stairs to the second floor. And we get to the second floor and we find this pentagram on the floor drawn in blood with salt surrounding the blood area and a dead squirrel like right next to it.
Oh.
Yeah. This was like real devil worship crap that we came across. It was... I've never come across anything like this before on any of my adventures. I've seen pentagrams, but this was, but spray painted. Like, haha, look, we're spray painting a pentagram, 666, devil, ah.
Yeah,
but this was like straight up like real blood, evil. There were candles surrounding it. There was a candle with Jesus by it. Mm-hmm. And when you go up and you look at the candle with Jesus on it, the face of Jesus is scratched out. Ooh. Like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah. And then on the other side, you could see there was like blood on this curb where they like curb stomped the poor squirrel or whatever, because there's blood splatter all over there. There was like a little bucket of blood next to it.
Eek.
Man, it was weird. We all got a little freaked out on that one.
Yeah, I would imagine. So what'd you find on the third story?
It was a very odd feeling. You really want to know? So on the third story, my brother bust out his LiDAR camera. And if you watch the ghost hunting shows, LiDAR camera is like, it shows the stick figures of things that it catches on in the area, right? It can pick up those things. So he busts it out, and this thing just pops up from out of nowhere, and it is coming at us. It's walking toward us. It's walking back. It's walking side to side. It's all over the place. And I'm like, and it's not going away. Like, it is just staying there and interacting with with us. It was so weird. And first my brother walked over and stood next to it, and it was like reaching out to him, which was so weird. The stick figure is like reaching out at my brother. My brother's reaching back at it. And then my brother puts his hand over, and he's like, dude, you got to come over here. It's like cold right here. It's warm out here, but it's cold in this spot. So I go over there, and I stick my hand in the ghost, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is freezing. It was probably like 10 degrees colder than it was out of it. It was I've never experienced that before. I've always seen it on the TV shows and stuff like that, but I've never experienced it before. So that was weird. So that's what happened. That was my experience.
So you had a summoning circle on one floor and a ghost on the other floor.
Yeah.
That's crazy sauce.
And it's it was 7 stories, the 7 levels of hell. We went there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew. Let's not go there.
Hey, Billy. Okay. I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
How about you, Billy? How was yours?
Okay, so we all have those standbys, right? You're having a bad week. There's certain albums you like to listen to. There's certain things you like to do, right? My thing is, I love getting into audiobooks. If I'm having a bad week, I just like listening to just audiobooks. I have certain series that I like going back to. Like I like doing Ready Player One. And you know, it helps ease the nerves. I like the Harry Dresden series, The Rivers of London, but this time I went with the Harry Potter series. Just started with the first one and listened throughout the week. I don't know, something about Jim Dale's voice.
I was just gonna say, I love his narration.
Right? So bad week, but I made it better with that and some Cobra Kai at home. I mean, that's just makes the week better.
Can't go wrong with Cobra Kai.
Not at all. Yeah. So I mean, nothing new, just going back to the old favorites. And if you guys have never listened to the Harry Potter series, narrated by Jim Dale, it's a life changer. It makes all the difference.
What about you, Drew? Anything?
Me? I
Yeah.
get a
Yeah.
participate?
Yeah.
All right,
Heck
cool.
yeah,
Yes, you
dude.
do.
Let's see. What have I been up to? Joey, you look like you got something to say,
I
sir.
was gonna ask you if you wanted to talk about your podcast coming out.
Well, I mean, I was going to bring that up, but I wasn't sure if I should do it now or at the end or whatever. So, but yeah, no. Actually, my buddy Brian and I are getting ready to launch our podcast. It's called Exiles of the Multiverse. And it's
It's a strong name.
Yeah, I do love
it
I
is,
do love the
right?
name.
I love it, yeah. And we've been like workshopping it for a while. I mean, for a while anyway. But it's about these two travelers. It's sort of an alternate version of ourselves who get exiled into the multiverse because my character specifically was mistaken for a Watcher, like from the Marvel universe. And upon their realization of their mistake, instead of putting me back, they decide to exile me into a little pocket dimension. And then Brian was a individual who could travel through the dimensions, but then we kind of retconned that, and now he's also powerless, but he travels with me now. And we use our prison turned multi-dimensional spaceship, I guess. And it's kind of we land on these worlds and we figure out what they're lacking entertainment wise, and we make these pitches with these sort of what if situations, like what if you had to recreate the Fast and Furious franchise using the Muppets.
I'd watch that
So
movie.
stuff like that. Yeah,
I would watch that every day.
Spoiler: Don Toretto would be played by Animal.
Of course. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Family. Yep. I'm going to definitely listen to that.
So we're getting really excited to be able to launch the podcast, and we're really grateful to you, Joey, that you're going to let us kind of piggyback off you.
Yeah, they're going to be kind of a part of our little GeekTyrant podcast family. So
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome. We're very excited.
Awesome.
We are
Same.
very excited. It sounds like fun.
But now we
Yes.
have to dive into NeverEnding Story because we got a lot
We
to unpack,
do.
guys.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot more than I expected.
So this is going to be part 1 of a 2-part episode because we have so much to talk about for this movie. It is just massive. It's a massive scale. It's epic. We went all out on this one, guys. So
One could say it's never ending.
thank you, Drew.
Way to step up to the plate, buddy.
Okay, so now that's out of the way. Let's go. I recently watched the film, and man, it's even just that opening of the movie is really quite something because you've got this kid, Bastian, who his mom's dead, and he's dealing with this death.
It's a big one. It's a big.
And it's
Vat
crazy
of
because
sadness.
this is as I watched this last, I'm like, man, this movie is like really kind of dark and depressing. It's got this great fantasy stuff, but for the most part, it is a very somber, depressing, sad story about this kid who's lost his mom and is just living in his head, like dealing with all of this stress and pressure that's coming from that, from school, from his dad. His dad.
Oh my
What's up with his dad?
Wow. Like,
It's like Mr. Robot.
Right? Okay. Played by Gerald McRaney. If you don't know who he is, we've all seen him. He's, been in a lot of television shows and stuff like that. But man, he is a cold-hearted individual.
no joke. Like, this kid is just down in the dumps, and he sits down with his son. He's got the blender, and he's blending up this juice drink or whatever. He's like, we can't let mom's death get in the way of getting the old job done, right?
She's been dead for 2 weeks. Move on.
Right?
His
Dude,
dad,
oh,
not only
man.
that, his dad just comes down on his son. I'm disappointed you didn't join the swim team.
What the crap, bro?
Like, you got to keep your head out of the clouds and keep both feet on the ground. Stop daydreaming and start facing your problems, damn it.
So, do you guys? Okay, so
You're
what
8
he's
years
saying
old.
is right.
I know.
Grow up.
What he's saying is super upsetting. But did you guys ever watch Bastion during that scene?
Yeah.
Trying
I
to
was
open
just-
the
yeah,
jar of peanut butter, can't do it. Decides to get a huge chunk of butter off of that block of butter. It's the biggest thing of butter I've ever seen in my life, and then just proceeds to stab the crap out of his bread while his dad is talking. He's just thinking, "Take this butter, Dad. Take it." His dad's just being the most
dad-
awful person.
Metaphorically, his dad is the bread.
Absolutely.
And he's like, inside, he's tearing his dad up. And he's not even going to eat the sandwich. He
No,
doesn't
absolutely
care
not.
at this point. He's like, I hate you. I hate this. I hate all of this. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to lock myself up in the attic, and I'm never coming out again.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
I love it when the dad like talks about like your teachers say you were drawing, and he pauses, and I'm like, oh, is he gonna say like genitalia or something? And he's like, horses, and it's like, what? You're getting upset that he's drawing at all, I guess.
And
So,
then
but horses?
And then the kid's
And he's
like,
like, no.
And then Bash is like, unicorns. These unicorns.
And there's no inflection in his voice when he says it. He's like, unicorns. You're unicorns,
It's like,
Dad.
Dad, you just don't understand what I'm going through, obviously.
I'm living that unicorn life.
And then his dad like brings up the fact that he was willing to give him horse riding lessons, but it's like, but you were too afraid to even like try to ride one. It's like,
Mock the
what is
sad
wrong
kid.
with you? What is going on?
This is bad. This
Turd.
is parenting that people should not follow.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like right when the conversation ends, his dad's like, "Don't be late for school again." And then he turns to his dad. He's like, "But yesterday I wasn't." Like he's late to school all the time apparently, but then he was late to school anyway, because as you know, he was chased by bullies and he walked into this store with this cranky old book
Dude.
salesman in there.
That sentence where he says, "Yesterday I wasn't," it struck me so hard this time because he's just looking for something positive from his dad.
Yeah,
Just
his
one
dad
thing.
is giving him nothing. This is an abusive relationship right here.
And he said it was such
also-
a. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I was just gonna make the comment that all the adults in this seem to be like mean and terrible to kids.
Right?
For
okay, I
real.
always thought that. I
real.
always thought that.
Even I was just gonna say, even the bookstore guy, after he's being chased by the bullies, he's chasing the bookstore. The guy's like, "Get out of here! I do not like kids."
Look, okay,
And he
so
walks over. He's like, "Didn't you hear me, boy?"
so Mr. Coriander, the bookstore owner, okay? So Mr. Coriander, I realized it on this one. He's a bigger part of the story than I ever realized. And I had to see it through the eyes of my 10-year-old son.
Huh. Interesting. You might have some insight here that I don't see, because this is what I saw from Mr. Coriander. One, he was a jerk to the kid when he walked in, and he was a jerk to him up until the point where he found out the kid liked reading books. And then he was like, "Ooh, now I'm interested in you. Oh, were you running away from somebody? Oh, come in. You're going to be safe here now." Like, but if it was just this kid who liked video games, he was going to put him back out in the street and let the kids beat him up again.
Let him get beat up, right? But it was a test. Okay, so I don't know if this is getting too far into this, but so that was his test. He needed to find somebody because he's been keeping that world alive by himself by continuously reading the book over and over again. You know what I mean?
Because that's interesting,
think
because I
of
was
that.
wondering, and I was going to ask you guys what you thought was going on, because he was reading the book when he came in,
Right.
right? And I'm like, if he's reading the book, is he on his own adventure in that book? what is going on with him? Like,
Right.
do the people in Fantasia know this old bookstore keeper is like reading this book at this point?
Yes, but that's why the nothing's coming in. He can't sustain it anymore. Like, he's been trying to keep this story going. New stories, keeping it fresh, keeping Fantasia, because he walks into a world established. Like, there's characters in there, the big-headed dudes that all show up at the palace, and he just can't do it anymore. Like, he's getting tired of keeping this imaginative story going, and he's been looking for someone to give it to.
So do you think the whole part of him where he's like trying to talk the kid out of the book, like super hard, like this book isn't for you, this isn't a story, is like, you stick with your story? Like, he just made it. He was like pushing it, like don't do it. And the kid's like, man, I really want to read this book because he keeps telling me no.
Right, but he keeps testing him too, because he starts talking about Robinson Crusoe and like these adventures that if a kid who
Robinson
hasn't really,
Crusoe.
right, but a kid that's never really read those wouldn't care,
Yeah.
like wouldn't be ready. But
Wouldn't
this kid
appreciate
comes
the
in.
hero's journey.
Exactly. And so he knew he was going to take it. That's why he looked back and he was like, yep, there we go. Because I think he was just done. Like, he couldn't sustain it anymore. And that's why the nothing's coming in.
Interesting.
They needed Bastian to
yeah,
interact
I never thought
with
of
it.
that.
Yeah. Like I said, through the eyes of a 10-year-old.
And something else is sort of like the warning off is like, it's kind of like Yoda with Luke, and he's like, don't go in there. And he's like, well, what's in there? It's like, what you take with you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I feel like it's a similar kind of situation. It's like, he's like got to prepare the kid. Like, you read this book, it's not just reading a book. It is entering, becoming a part of it, you know?
Right.
And you're right. Like, he's basically looking for somebody worthy to take up the mantle, and someone who doesn't appreciate fine literature wouldn't have done that. But, you know, that's a little short-sighted on the guy's part. But at the same time, I get it. I understand where they're going with this.
Sure.
Right. See, it took this watching to understand that. That's just my point of view on it. Somebody might have a bigger, broader scope, but that's how I saw it.
Before we go any further, I'm going to read the synopsis because sometimes it's just fun to read the synopsis.
They're so
I think
silly.
so. I love it when you read
movies.
the synopsis.
So here we go. On his way to school, Bastian ducks into a bookstore to avoid bullies. Sneaking away with a book called The NeverEnding Story, Bastian begins reading it in the school attic. The novel is about Fantasia, a fantasy land threatened by the Nothing, a darkness that destroys everything it touches. The kingdom needs the help of a human child to survive. When Bastian reads a description of himself in the book, he begins to wonder if Fantasia is real and needs him to survive. It's actually a decent synopsis, but it gives away too much.
Way too much. Way too much. But yeah.
It doesn't even mention Moonchild, so.
Oh, we're going to get into some Moonchild, my friend. Don't you worry. I do want to say, though, after he steals the book and ends up at school, and he walks up to the window and he looks in through the window, he's like, math test. Oh, no. And instead of like facing his problems and keeping his feet on the ground like his dad tells him to, he decides to run away up into the school attic, which is, I guess, open for kids to go hang out in.
I mean, the little lockbox for the key was open already, so
Oh, that's true.
it wasn't like he was really
Practically
breaking in.
Yeah. Not doing anything
inviting him.
illegal.
Right.
So
I love the symbolism, too, because he literally escapes above his problems by going into the attic.
oh, nice. Keeping his head.
His
like
feet are on the ground.
He's closer to the clouds in the attic.
He's closer to the clouds.
Drew coming in with the insight.
So this movie is based on the 1979 fantasy novel, The NeverEnding Story. But do you know the German title? Because I'm not going to try to pronounce this German title. Die Unnötig Gisterschnicht.
Yeah.
The NeverEnding Story. That was Swedish. That was a Swedish title.
That was a Swedish title.
There we go.
It's funny because you guys are all like, man, is he going to say it in German? I'm like, nope. Going straight to the English translation.
I was laughing before you even started it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But this was also Wolfgang Petersen's English language film debut as a director.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And when talking about it and how he basically came to get it, he said, after 3 grueling years working on Das Boot, I can pronounce that.
You can
I was available and looking for something different to work on. Das Boot was tough. A tough movie to make. From the story point of view, it was very dark and emotional material. My son at the time was around 10 years old or so, and he didn't care for Das Boot very much. As a father, I wanted to do something that my son would be really interested in and that he could be proud of. Now, before Wolfgang jumped on the movie, there was another director attached to it.
Okay.
This guy mostly did small films and comedies, but when they started the movie originally, he realized this kind of movie wasn't for him. And so Wolfgang said that this guy was overwhelmed. He knew this was not his world, and so him and the original director and the producer of the film called him, which he said was very unusual, to see if he was interested in the project. So, of course, he was interested. He says, it's exactly what I was looking for, so he jumped on board.
That's cool.
Yep. So Petersen went out to shoot the movie, and he shot it in Germany in the summer of 1983. It was Germany's hottest summer in 25 years at the time.
Wow.
Crazy.
And because it was such an unusually hot summer, one of the statues of the ivory tower that was made for the film
Yeah.
melted.
Oh.
That's how hot it was.
Jeez.
On other days, the crew were forced to shut down production because the blue backgrounds for the mat didn't operate properly because it was so hot.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that works. I mean, because when I think blue mat, it's like blue screen, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
what malfunctioned in that situation? I guess.
Maybe the special lighting, because there's a lot of lighting that goes
Maybe.
into that, right? And so you get
Oh,
heat
for sure,
with
yeah.
those hot lights already. Like
It's just too much,
it
and so
could
it's
have
like
been
you
like
can't
a
even
sauna
light it.
in
Yeah.
there. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Or
actually.
not a sauna, an oven.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, I can appreciate that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Jeez.
This was also the most expensive film ever produced in Germany at the time.
I mean, it's all on the screen.
Oh,
Right. I mean,
all those creature
100%.
effects and everything.
man,
yeah.
I loved the effects. I loved the makeup work. I loved the creature designs, the animatronics, the old school animatronics. Like CG was like non-existent back then, and so they had to bring
Right.
these creatures to life for real. And it was, I love what they did with it. Like that stuff just stuck with me
Yeah.
forever. Like those images, those visuals, those creatures are just embedded in my head. And we'll
Yeah,
talk.
it's-
sure.
We'll talk about those guys.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that, but I wish I could give my kids the experience I had with seeing it in the movie theater on the big screen for the first time.
You know, I would love to do a screening of this in the theater again. It's one.
Yeah,
movie,
that would
it's
be a
one of
good
those
one.
movies that you don't see re-released.
No, and you absolutely
Yeah, that
should.
would be like one of those fan funded screenings that they do now.
Yeah, exactly. That would be cool.
Yeah, I would like that.
So the author of the book, Michael Ende, was not happy with this movie. He hated it.
What?
Oh yeah.
An author not liking the film version of
I
his
know.
creation?
It's so rare, isn't it?
Mind blowing.
Oh man.
He
That's
was
funny.
not happy with the version of the story that the film told, and he refused to have his name placed in the opening credits. There was a small credit that appears at the end of the film with his name, but he asked the movie title to be changed. He wanted the title of the movie to be completely changed, or he wanted the whole movie altogether to just be canceled. Like, he just didn't want to release.
Wow.
He must have really hated it.
He did not like it at all. After the studio declined both of those options that he gave them, he filed a lawsuit and ultimately lost.
Thank goodness.
So he was so
I was going to say, because we saw it.
He was
Right.
so upset with the movie, though, that he went to those kind of lengths to try and keep it from being released.
Wow. Jeez.
I mean, I kind of feel bad for him because you put all that work into the book and then it goes to the movies and you're like, well, that's not what I envisioned.
Yeah, it was his baby. I get it. But
Right.
I thought they did
Sure.
a wonderful job with the film.
Yes,
It is
it's one of my
It is a
favorite movies.
beautifully made fantasy movie.
Right?
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for me, a good adaptation isn't slavish to the book. It brings the, points of the book, the ultimate morals and stuff like that forward. But it has to be its own thing. Otherwise, you just get something that is uninspired, honestly.
So Petersen said that one of the big problems is that he just didn't like the script. And so Peter offered to sit down with the writer and work with him to turn it into something that he would like. It was not a good experience, though. To explain, the story was sacred to him. And whenever they tried to work with him to give and take certain things, the author wouldn't budge. And it was difficult to make any changes.
Man. Like, when you get, no leeway from the guy who you're trying to make something with, that's, and I'm sure there's, he said, but still, you got to compromise, especially when you sell your property, your IP, right?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that he explained is that he just didn't understand the process of, taking this big book and putting it down into a 2-hour movie. Adapting it for a 2-hour film. It's not, you're not going to get everything. And it's something he just said the guy just didn't understand why that was the case. And he ended up hating it. Petersen was threw his hands up in the air, we're just going to go ahead and finish it the way we need to and move on.
Right. It's the Goblet of Fire problem.
Yeah.
I mean, by far one of my favorite Harry Potter books. Here we go to Harry Potter again, but there's 3 movies in that book, and we only got one.
Yeah. And it's funny. One of Petersen's quotes was, and this is an interview he gave with Entertainment Weekly, all these quotes that I'm getting. He says, "He was not our friend. I could tell you that. Hopefully he came to enjoy it."
He was not our friend.
But the author died in 1995.
Oh,
And
okay.
I imagine he didn't come to enjoy it.
There goes him being on our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, tell you what, guys, I got a surprise guest.
Yeah.
Michael and his skull.
He's been here the whole time.
So one aspect of the film that he absolutely hated, despised, is when Atreyu encounters the 2 giant sphinxes on his journey.
That was such a tense scene when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
In order to pass through them, he must answer the riddle, right? Well,
yeah.
the author hated it and said the sphinxes are quite one of the biggest embarrassments of the film. They are full-bosomed, exotic dancers who sit there in the desert.
Wait, he didn't like that.
He did not like that. No.
Okay.
What a weirdo.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with his description of exotic dancers.
Because they didn't dance at all.
No, they didn't dance at all. But yeah, okay.
That pissed him off, huh?
Yeah, he was not happy with that. But anyway, while we're on the Sphinxes,
Oh yeah.
he had 2 encounters with the Sphinxes and a mirror that he had to stare at himself in.
Right.
And what was the guy's name who was like helping him through this? The old guy's like, he made it! He made it! What was
The
his
one who
name?
rides a bat?
No, it's like the gnomes. What were their scientific speciality?
Yeah, it's my scientific speciality. That guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I would say Angie Wook. Sidney Bromley?
That's what I think it was.
Okay.
It was. Haha. Success.
Success. Haha. Okay. So while we're on the subject of the Sphinxes, like, that was an intense sequence in
Yeah.
the film, for sure. Like you
For
were saying
something
earlier.
that basically nothing happens, like, the outcome anyways.
Yeah.
You get that knight who just rides up and then gets disintegrated.
Yeah.
So you know the danger involved with this.
Yeah.
And now it's like this kid has to do this thing that this knight couldn't do, right? Like the adult couldn't do it.
And I want to know what the knight was doing. Like, what was
Right?
he going
Seriously.
for? What was his mission? What was his journey? Like, I want the side story on
I
that
am
guy.
Curious about that. Was he like some lost crusader looking for the Holy Grail?
That's what I think it might be. It was his quest to conquer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure.
And think about all he needed to do was take off all of that armor, get off his horse, and just jump.
Well, I think
Simple.
I think there was a lot more significance to the Orin being on Atreyu when he went through. I think that was kind of like that was the only armor he needed to make it through that.
Yeah.
Because to be able to hold on to the Orin, you had to be like the chosen one.
Yeah.
So that knight never stood a chance.
No. So he passed the one Sphinx. He got to the mirror, and what was the guy's name? Billy, who was cheering Atreyu on.
That would be Engiwook or Engiwook.
Okay, so he's all like, as he's approaching the second obstacle, he's like, "This is the one where people just lose their minds, right? This is the one that drives people mad." And all it is him looking at himself in a mirror. Now, it seems like that's nothing. But when you're looking back at yourself and you're trying to see yourself and who you are, I can see how intense that could be. Like, do I have the ability to do this? Am I worthy of this journey? He has to find it within himself to be like, yeah, I am, and then walk through it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. How many of us see ourselves for who we really are? You know what I mean?
You got to look in a magic mirror, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we all like
Joey
to see
did it.
ourselves.
I've
Yeah.
looked in a magic mirror. I have.
Yes, he has.
I saw myself. I did not like what I saw. I'll be honest.
See? But at least you're honest with yourself. A lot of us see ourselves as the hero in our stories and can't see past that. You know? So, I mean,
It was
an honest
weird.
yeah.
I'm sure the audience is like, man, what's this mirror that he's talking about? Well, I found this mirror. It's a silver-backed mirror, and it was like 200 years old. And when you looked at it, it had this concave in it. And so when you looked at it, you were looking at yourself in the third dimension. I've never experienced anything like this. A lot of people say that, oh, it's kind of like a makeup mirror, but no, it's not. Unless you've really looked into a silver-backed mirror, this is completely different. It seriously looked like I was looking at myself in 3D, and it really just kind of blew me away. So it was interesting, to say the least.
That is trippy.
Yeah, it messed me up that day. I was like, I've never, because when you look at a mirror, normal, you're flat, and you don't see yourself as you would see, like, if I see you guys in person, I'm seeing you a certain way that you're not seeing yourself.
Right.
Right.
And I saw myself the same way that I would see you guys. And so it just kind of was like, threw me off.
That's not. I mean, that's a lot to take in, bud.
It was. Really, really was. Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, so he gets through that. He gets to the second set of sphinxes who are just like, oh, you need to find the human child, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, where do I find one?
Yeah, sure.
Beyond the boundaries of Fantasia. Okay. So now I got to go all the way back. My question is, did he have to go through all those obstacles again?
Exactly.
When he
Is
went
there like
back?
Yeah.
Or is it like
There's
a
a back door.
Disneyland ride where you could just like there's an exit? Oh, I could just go right over through this door and I'm back.
But the first thing he did do is turn around and yell, Falcor! And then started running back. So
Right.
did Falcor pick him up? Can Falcor do that? Is that...
He's
He's
a
a
luck
luck dragon. Thank you, Drew. He can do whatever the heck he wants.
Yeah.
Stinking Falcor.
Anyway.
Look, I've gone outside and yelled that plenty of times and he's never shown up. I'm just saying.
He never shows up for you? That's weird.
No.
He always shows up at my house. I'm always like, dude, please. I'm done.
Just
I
no more, buddy.
Okay.
You eat too much and you poop too big.
One other quick thing about the author of the book. He wanted Akira Kurosawa to direct the movie.
Oh. Seven Samurai.
Yeah. Which,
Yojimbo.
Wow.
you know, I have
Yeah,
no problems with that. I would have
Rashomon.
loved to see. I would have loved to see that.
Yeah. That would have been great. I would have loved to
Wow.
have seen a take on that from Akira.
Yeah. But
Huh.
Do you think he would have directed a
I mean,
American movie?
I
or
like the
would
movie.
He...
Oh, probably not. No.
Oh, of course.
No, heck no.
The problem with that is I don't know if he would have been the author would have been able to work with that director either, because he probably would have turned it into a whole Japanese fantasy film, which would have been
Yeah,
awesome.
he had a movie that came out at that time, around that time, that was like based on dreams and stuff. I think it was even called like Akira Kurosawa's Dreams or something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it was like vignettes. It wasn't like a one solid story. It was like a bunch of them, and they
Okay.
were really interesting. But it was kind of weird. And thinking about that movie and trying to translate that for like NeverEnding Story, I'm curious if he'd bring the creatures like this movie did,
Yeah.
or if he'd go a little bit more like representations, like kites instead of actual animatronics and stuff.
Or if he even did bring in the creatures, what
Right, or
would they have been
yeah,
inspired by Japanese lore and legend and things like that,
right.
which would have been also cool.
It would have been cool.
Huh. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see like Studio Ghibli's interpretation of NeverEnding Story. Like
Yeah.
if we're kind of going to that direction, right?
Dude, they should do it.
They should.
Yeah.
Seriously. Wow, that would be awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Pitch it, Drew.
Okay. In a
Get in
world.
contact with them. Yeah.
Steven Spielberg also helped with this movie.
Of course he did.
Ooh,
I
of
didn't.
course.
It's something I didn't know until I started
I didn't.
digging
Yeah.
in the research.
Mm-hmm.
He and Wolfgang Petersen were good friends, and so Spielberg helped with the editing of the movie, and he also helped with the marketing as well
I could see that.
to prepare it for
Yeah.
the American market.
I mean, good for him, man. I mean, I'm just glad I get to watch it. It's such a great movie.
And they actually, Peterson gave Spielberg the Aron, the prop.
The
No
snake
way.
thing?
Yeah.
That's on the book?
Yeah,
And
that's what he gave Spielberg.
Atreyu's amulet?
Yeah, the actual prop for the film he gave,
That's
he gave
really
to Spielberg.
cool.
So Spielberg has that somewhere.
Jeez. I would love to think it's just in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah. Peterson says that Spielberg was a big fan of Das Boot, and they talked all the time on the phone. Just these two
Okay.
guys hanging out, talking about movies.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, the original Arn is it hangs in an enclosed glass display in his office.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
In a drawer.
No, on display. That's what this says right here. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but so before Spielberg came on board, the movie was a bit slower than what we got originally. It had a very European feel to it.
Wow.
And so he just gave him some editing tips and said, this is going to pump it up a bit, get American audiences hyped for it, release it. They
I can
did.
see that.
So there's actually two cuts of the movie. There's an American cut, which is 7 minutes shorter than the German cut. And the German cut
7 minutes
is much more is kind of a more serious toned movie with different music and things like that.
the song is not in
I
the
wouldn't
German
even think
version.
about that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Turn
It's just
Around isn't
instrumental.
in it?
No, not in the German one.
What?
Even the
Where are they gonna
even
look
the
and
titles,
see?
even the titles of the film, like the NeverEnding Story. When you watch this film, you get these beautiful titles, right? In the German version, it's these very blocky, just white or yellowish, the NeverEnding
Default
Story.
title maker?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got to see this version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. There were.
That's really interesting.
I know. There were 50,000 kids that auditioned for the role of Atreyu.
What?
50,000?
That's what.
Is that like the population of Germany?
That's according to Noah Hathaway, the guy who actually played him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So
That makes it sound a lot more impressive that he got it then.
So he says his whole backstory there's a whole backstory to his casting where when he was hired when the original director was attached. When Wolfgang came on board, they pushed him out. They're like, "Okay, we're gonna look at other kids now. We don't know if we want you." So they made him go through the whole audition process all over again.
Wow.
Yeah. And he says they did one of those worldwide searches to cast the role, and they saw something like 50,000 kids. I think I auditioned around 6 or 7 times before I got the part. The script was just amazing, and even back then, it was imaginative, and I hadn't seen anything like it before. He goes, I can't remember what happened with the first director, but after he left the project and hired Wolfgang, they did the whole thing again. So they let me go and started the whole casting process again, and I had to audition for Wolfgang and 2 producers. Finally, after like 3 or 4 more auditions, I got hired again. Right. I don't want to say it was meant to be because I really worked my ass off for it.
Never-ending auditions.
And when he was cast, his skin was super pale, so they made him go to a tanning salon to get a darker tan for his skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's what they do when you need
But look,
a
dude.
darker complexion, I guess.
Okay. Moving on. He had this kid had to be cast in this role because this kid went through hell to make this movie.
Let's be honest. If any other kid might have been in it, they might have died.
Serious crap, dude. Like I read some of the stories about what he went through, just the filming of Artax, the whole Artax situation.
Oh yeah, that was traumatizing. I mean, I think I said that on the top of the thing of the podcast, but just freaky to see this horse just going down and he's just screaming and just You're like, what is happening? And why is this happening so soon?
I know. Seriously, it happened so fast in the movie. You're just like, wait, we're here already? He's losing his horse, and now I'm crying, and now everyone in the audience is crying because the horse is dying, And this poor kid's just looking at this horse in the face and is just like, please, just come, just get out of here. The swamp of sadness is a place you don't want to be.
Okay, so in doing my research on this, in that scene, it cuts where it cuts because Artax the horse is on an elevator that's going down.
Yes.
Okay, so he's going
that's
down.
How they did that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, this kid, Noah Hathaway, when it gets to a certain point, gets pulled under, like gets pulled into the swamp of sadness, like into all that muck.
Excuse me?
Yeah, gets pulled into it. They pull him out, and he's unconscious. He's out. They had to save him at that point.
Yeah.
They had to bring him back to life.
Yeah. He got pulled under that swamp, and when they brought him up, he was passed out.
Wasn't there like a rumor that they killed a horse on this movie?
No. Okay, so
And-
yes, there's that rumor.
There is the rumor.
Go finish what you're saying, bud. I'm sorry.
No,
No.
I was just gonna say like there's a rumor. Did they switch out the kid too?
No, it's funny because in one of the interviews, Noah was like, they had 2 horses on the scene, and they
Like
had
ready to go.
and they had horse protectors, like trainers and stuff on site that were with horses at all time. He was like, the horses were safer than I was. There was no one there to protect me. I was kind of just on my own. And yeah, it's crazy.
Jeez.
That was one of 2 times he almost died on that set.
Thank you for joining us in this first of our 2-part episode of the NeverEnding Story. We really appreciate you listening to it. The next part is coming soon. Drew, thank you for joining us.
It
Yeah,
was
big
a
time, bro.
pleasure.
And
We
don't
really
forget,
appreciate it.
we got
Blast.
that new podcast coming out, so keep an eye out for that.
Please and thank you. Exiles of the Multiverse will be landing here soon.
Soon.
It's just the first of many, guys. We're going to try to get as much content out as possible, but we're taking baby steps.
Yes. And also,
That's right.
always, don't forget to like us and follow us. Facebook, Twitter. Our call sign is at GT Secret Level. You can find us all over the place. Also, visit GeekTyrant.com for all your movie news, because I do that too.
Yeah, that's happening.
I know I do. That's where I get all my geeky news.
All right, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
Oh, and leave reviews. 5
Please.
stars if you're feeling generous. All right, thank you, everybody.
Hey,
Next
thanks, guys.
time, we will continue our conversation on the NeverEnding Story. And this conversation may never end, depending on how long it goes.
Could be a
still going.
three-parter.
I'm still going. I'm not even ending yet. This is interesting.
He's gonna keep going even after he stops recording.
It's true. I might.
Never ending.
And all right, everybody.
All right, see ya.
Say bye.
Bye.